Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Wednesday, the Change Leadership episode this week with Shoaib Naik. Hey Shoaib, welcome back.
Hey Vasco, good to see you again.
Absolutely, likewise. So today is Wednesday and we dive into change on Wednesdays, and we do that because we want to learn from your experience. What were the things that you learned about change that we can take and apply in our own change processes? So tell us that story, Shoaib, the story of a change process that you were involved with, and as you go through it, highlight for us the steps, the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the techniques you learned back then that you still apply today.
I think the change that comes to my mind, and one of the difficult situation I was in, this was when I was both as a project manager and a Scrum Master. And we were mostly, initially when we started the project, we were initially working with Waterfall because that was the need of the project. And then we had to make this transition to Scrum to do the software development part. Now, the catch here is both Waterfall and Scrum needed to coexist because a use case was not only an IT software development project, but it was also an IT infrastructure project that we were also building data centers from the scratch. And then on top of that, doing application development. So the first thing that I did was I mapped the differences between Scrum versus Waterfall, because this was new for me as well. I was also learning along the way. I mostly had been a project manager. Now I was transitioning into a role of a Scrum Master. So I learned a bit about Scrum and see how different it is. So and then I also coached understanding the differences step by step. I went ahead and coached the team and told them, okay, hey, this was what we were doing before, because it was the same team which we were splitting into two. One would continue to work on the Waterfall and second will continue using the Scrum framework. So I just describe to them what are the differences between Waterfall and Scrum and what are the new things that we are going to do now with
and as
Scrum.
You explained those differences,
yes,
how did you try to make them familiar to your audience, right, the team, right? So as you were explaining, okay, in the previous project we did this and now we don't do this, we do that. How did you explain the differences?
The biggest difference between a Waterfall and Sprint and doing Scrum framework is the delivery of value. It is quicker in Scrum as compared to Waterfall. So obviously there was a theoretical workshop where we talked about what is a Scrum framework, Agile, and other things. We did a kind of a demo sprint where we ran these things with them, because I think there was one or two developers out of the, if I remember correctly, we were 10 people. Out of the 10 people, there was one or two who had worked with Scrum, but still they didn't remember it. So we ran a demo sprint, and in the sprint, we did all the Scrum events. And at the end, we collected feedback from them as to, okay, now how was the experience? Did you find differences? What you liked, what you didn't like? Once I got that feedback, we simply improvise on top of that. The trick was to not change everything in one go. So we brought in these changes one by one. We were already using, for example, as a tool, we were already using Jira and Confluence for capturing our requirements. So we just have to transition them to a user story format and start using a Scrum board and all these things. So we started using that one by one instead of just dumping everything on the team.
And as you started introducing the, what Scrum would look like compared to what you were doing before, I imagine that you got a lot of questions and perhaps even some resistance to adopt some of those techniques or, ceremonies, whatever that is. I'm imagining one thing I've heard a lot is, why would I test the software if it isn't completely written yet, right? Like the idea of testing continuously throughout
Yes.
the sprint instead of at
Yes.
the end. Like
Yes.
how did you see what were the things that came up, and how did you help the team tackle those?
I think team wise, it wasn't challenging because we were already, if you remember, I think we were already working as a team in a waterfall project for a year. So the team bonding was already there. So they trusted me, I trusted them, they trusted each other. So in that sense, they were open to change. They had that mindset already simply because they trusted each other. So it was easy on that front. So we just as a team had to adjust to, we started doing 2 week sprint to this 2 weeks affair. From previously, we were like giving demos to a stakeholder after a month or a month and a half. So now we were doing after 2 weeks. And like you said, these testing and everything, continuous testing, writing these test cases on a regular basis, and like sprint by sprint, these were the changes we needed to adjust as a team. And I think it was easier because the team was ready to accept like, okay, we should try this out. This is something new. This looks interesting. So that really helped me.
So one of the aspects that was kind of an enabler, I guess you could call it, is the fact that the team was already a team, right?
Yes.
You said they had already bonded, so they
Yes.
didn't need a lot of effort on that regard. And because of that, they are perhaps more ready to try out things if some other team members also have that idea, right? Like they say, yeah, this is a great idea, let's try it, right?
Yes.
Or something like that. But what were the biggest challenges though? Like so the team was already there, they already had a bond, they trusted each other and they trusted you. But what were some of the challenges of moving from a previously waterfall to then a Scrum project?
I think one of the biggest challenges for the team was to start doing refinements in story points and not think about it as ours, explaining the concept of story point, what a story point is, how do you estimate it in terms of complexity, dependencies, risk, instead of thinking in man days or man hours. So that was something that took a time, not only for the entire team, for me also to grasp the concept. It's one thing to read something off internet or watch YouTube video of it. It sounds very simple, but when you start doing it in practice, it's very difficult, and especially for the people who have to actually work on that, on the user story and code it. So that, I would say, that took some time. And once we had some clear idea of what a 5-story point, what we did was, once we had a clear idea what will be a 3-story point, 2-story point user story, we referenced it. And so then in refinements, we used to reference back to those user stories till the time the team got comfortable in estimating it without the need of a reference stories. So I guess that was a pretty difficult challenge, but also equally great when we surpassed it. And this process I'm describing, it's not like in a month or in a week we were able to do it. It took us, I guess, 2-3 months to like really get there, to have at least an understanding.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Like this idea that we need time to get familiar with different practices, right? So you did the demo sprint. That's a great tool to get people familiar with different practices, doing a workshop and, using metaphors or analogies, like, for example, sizing cities instead of sizing user stories, because you kind of know that, I don't know, London is probably about the same size as Mumbai. Maybe, I'm not saying, but it's not very different, right? But on the other hand, if you consider some other cities, like smaller cities, then London is too big. So they belong to a different category. And I think that this is, for me, actually one of the advantages, but also the risks with workshops, right? When we use metaphors, when we use analogies, we convey the concept, but we don't convey the practice. We don't convey what that means for us in practice. So I think that's a great call here that we should look for, first, of course, getting people familiar with the concept, but then quickly turning into practice. Yes. And how do we apply this to our own work?
Yes. Because from my experience, no matter how many examples you give, metaphors you give, when you actually practice it, you get to know how, like, what is your understanding and what you need to improve. So that is why we do work with agile frameworks, because whatever we learn, we quickly put into practice and see the value right in 2 weeks, whatever length of sprints you do. So that is the whole point of working with agile.
Absolutely. That's exactly. It's the practice and the quick feedback, and that leads to fast learning. That was a great story. Thank you for sharing that, Shoaib.
Welcome, Vasco.
Leading change is one of the core skills we must acquire, but it is only one of the steps towards our success as Scrum Masters. Tomorrow, on Success Thursday, we will talk about how to define success for the Scrum Master role. We'll cover tips on how to measure your way to that position, and most importantly, how to develop that focus on continuous improvement that is as important for Scrum Masters as it is for teams. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.